So right now there's the World Economic Forum in Switzerland, in Davos, taking place. No, it's this big annual meeting of world leaders. I think there's like over 60 heads of state there right now. And as you can see on the pictures, we have the French President Macron rocking his sunglasses. He did all his speeches in glasses because of some eye problem. Then we also have, the Commission President Ursula von der Leyen from the European Union. And I think today Trump will arrive and hold his speech, which will be, everybody is on edge because of the Greenland threats and how to resolve the Greenland issue. But what I want to focus on right now is the Californian governor, Gavin Newsom, a Democrat politician from the United States, who will probably be the Democratic presidential candidate in the next US elections, the presidential elections. And he was on site and he had some really interesting things to say. He spoke directly to us in Europe, telling us what we should do to face off against Trump, and that we really should have a spine and stand up for ourselves instead of this appeasement we have been doing for a year. And I'm gonna let you hear for yourself right now what he said in this interview.
Good to see you.
Governor Newsom, do you have a message for Europeans who are concerned about the messages from the White House around Greenland this week?
Yeah, it's time to buck up. It's time to get serious and stop being complicit. It's time to stand tall and firm, have a backbone. It's just I can't take this complicity. People rolling over. I should have brought a bunch of knee pads for all the world leaders. I mean, handing out crowns and this is pathetic. Nobel Prizes that are being given away. I mean, it's just pathetic. And I hope people understand how pathetic they look on the world stage. I mean, at least from an American perspective, it's embarrassing.
So
this guy's playing folks for fools, and it's embarrassing.
Europeans think this is diplomacy and this will ultimately
this is
work.
Diplomacy with Donald Trump? He's a T-Rex. You mate with him or he devours you.
What do we have to expect from the Trump speech of tomorrow as European, as French people?
Well, I mean, he's insulting you, your country, European allies. What he's promoting is madness in Greenland, these tariffs. You can't take Greenland by military force. You could, but it's so overwhelmingly opposed in the United States. He's in a bit of a pickle. And so the European Union should hit him in the face and push back very aggressively. Fight fire with fire. Trump is weak. He's weakness masquerading as strength.
Trump is weak?
Yes, he's weakness masquerading as strength. He's good at exploiting weaknesses, but he backs down when he's punched in the face. So it requires conviction, it requires backbone, not capitulation. And I just hope Europeans understand that. So
I absolutely agree with this. Trump only understands strength. Trying to appease him will only make the problem worse because he will see you as weak. He will try to take more concessions from you. Last year the EU made a trade deal with Trump, a humiliating trade deal where the US put up 15% tariffs on the EU and the EU lowered all its tariffs to zero. It's a great deal for the US, but from the European perspective, it was at least thought that even though this deal is not in our favor, at least now we have long-term stability, we have a deal. But no, now over this Greenland situation, Trump is again threatening more tariffs, which just shows you that there is no predictability with Trump, and the only way to make him understand that he needs to respect his European allies, if we can even call the US and the EU allies anymore, is to show him strength, that the EU will not back down. And I mean, just look at the things the US president is posting on his Truth Social, him putting a flag on Greenland, a European ally, a NATO ally. And I'm not saying that Europe hasn't done anything. It has shown some determination to, strike back, to show its strength. Right now, the European Parliament has suspended this trade deal that was struck last year. So it was, von der Leyen and Trump made this deal, but it hadn't been approved by the Parliament, and it was supposed to be approved right about around this time. But now, because of the Greenland threats and the threats of new tariffs, the Parliament has suspended the deal. And the EU also have a prepared package from last year's trade war, with 93 billion in new tariffs that the EU could put on against the United States. So we are suspending the trade deal. We are preparing tariff retaliation. So we do show some strength, but I mean, it's a good start. But I think the really important thing, the make or break factor here, is for how long the EU is ready to keep this up. Because Trump is not afraid to escalate. He's not afraid to try to bully his way out of a negotiation. And if the EU then is too scared to strike back because the cost is too high, then Trump will win. But if we actually doesn't back down, I think we could it's very likely that Trump will back down. As Gavin Newsom said, he's weak domestically. The economy in the US is not going great. I mean, neither, of course, Democrats are opposed to his Greenland talk, but even among his own party, among the Republicans, I mean, I don't think a majority of them is backing him in this project of trying to take over Greenland and starting conflict with the European allies. Right, and Denmark is also sending not just economically, but also militarily. Denmark, among its European allies, have sent more troops to Greenland, and so that's also a show of strength from Europe. But on the other side of things, Brussels and many European countries are urging restraint. They are preparing these new tariffs, but at the same time, they're talking about, we don't want to escalate. We need to show restraint, which I don't understand this talk at all. Like, Trump is the one escalating. We need to respond. To then talk about, we can't, enrage Trump. We can't escalate when he is actively escalating. That just shows weakness and that we are not ready to respond. We do have, the EU does have an anti-coercion instrument adopted in 2023, specifically made to counter economic coercion, which this clearly is. Trump wants Greenland. Europe supports Denmark against the US, and then the US threatens tariffs against Europe. A clear, coercion to force through the US will by putting economic pressure on Europe. And this instrument not only includes tariffs, but it also made so that Europe can kind of strike against the US service industry that exports a lot to Europe. So right now, when you're talking about goods, Europe exports more goods to the US than the US exports to Europe. So in that way, Europe is vulnerable in a trade war because the US could hurt Europe really badly. But if we don't only talk about goods, if we talk about the service sector, America has all of these big tech companies like Google, Meta, Microsoft, and a lot of their customers are in Europe. But those services hasn't been involved in a trade war. And with this anti-coercion instrument, also called the trade bazooka because it's such a powerful weapon, Europe could strike at those services, putting tariffs on American services, limiting access, limiting American companies' access to the single market, to public procurement. And this is a very powerful tool that has been discussed if it should be used. But right now, I mean, France and Macron is for it, as I understand it. But Germany is kind of in the middle, not sure what to do. But then there's also countries like Meloni's Italy, who, right-wing politician, kind of more friendly with Trump, who urges constraint and who doesn't want to use it. And I get it that the trade bazooka, this instrument, is very powerful and could escalate the conflict. But as Gavin said, Trump only, or as I'm paraphrasing right now, Trump only understands strength. And we need to have a spine, a backbone, and actually stand up for Europe. And not only, again, do this mistake with, trying to appease him, because that's not going to work. Maybe in the short term, but not in the long term. If Europe can actually show some strength, I mean, Trump is already weak domestically. I don't think he has the willpower or the ability to endure an actual strong European response. I think he will have to back down. I think it's also the right thing to do, to stand up for Europe and not, just lay down and take it.